Welcome students to this particular session related to control chart. In the previous two sessions, we understood how to prepare the X bar chart when the value of standard deviation has been given or not given. In this particular session, we are going to understand how to plot the R chart or the range chart. We know that the X bar chart and the R chart both are the charts which comes under the category of control charts for variable. So now let us understand how to prepare the range chart. This particular range chart is used to monitor the process dispersion. It means that how much is the difference in the value of the different items of the sample. Now to prepare the R chart, same as the X bar chart, we will require the control limits. To prepare the R chart, we will require two control limits, upper control limit as well as the lower control limit. The equation for UCL and LCL for R chart can be given as respectively D4 R bar and LCL is equal to D3 R bar. Over here, the value of D3 and D4 can be found out by a table that we are going to discuss in the next slide. Over here, D3 and D4 are nothing but the factors based on the sample size. In the case of X bar chart, the factor A was there. The value of factor A also was dependent on the sample size n. Same way over here in R chart, the factor D3 and D4, the values of both of this factor depends on the sample size n. Now, to better understand how to prepare the R chart, we have considered the same value, same example over here. We need to find out the control limits for a range chart, for example 1 that we discussed earlier, and the data has been given to us over here. There were 5 samples and each sample is having the 4 items in it. So small n is equal to 4 while the small k that is equal to 5. Now for the given table or the for given sample size and the samples, we need to find out or we need to set the UCL value and LCL value to prepare the R chart for it. Now over here, the n small n is equal to 4. So in this particular table, the value of D3 for sample size of 4 is 0. So for sample size of 4, n is equal to 4. The value of D3 is 0. While the value of D4 for the sample size of 4 is 2.28. So the value of D3 and D4 can be found out from this particular table for a particular sample size. Now, by putting the values of D3 and D4 and R bar in both of this equation, we can have the value of UCL and LCL. Now, in this particular slide, the R bar has been found out, and that can be found out by taking the mean of the ranges of all the samples. So R bar can be considered as 0.03 plus 0.05 plus 0.06 plus 0.04 plus 0.05 divided by small k that is equal to 5 number of samples. So finally, we will have the value of R bar that is equal to 0.046. So this R bar value 0.046, that is the mean value for us now. So to plot the R chart, we will require the mean line or the mean value that we already have found out over here, and that is equal to 0.046. Now there's a turn to find out the value of UCL and LCL. So we have these equations. We already have the value of R bar. We already have the value of D4 and D3 from the previous table for the N or sample size is equal to 4. So after putting the values of D3, D4 and R bar, we found out the UCL as 0.105 minutes and LCL, that is 0 minutes. So from this calculation, we are able to plot the mean line that is for the R bar. That is for the value of 0.046. The line of UCL, that is for 0.105 minutes, and the LCL line will be drawn at 0 value. After plotting all these lines, we will be plotting the values of all the ranges on that graph, on that chart. So the first range R1, that is 0.03. It lies between the LCL and UCL. Then if we talk about the R2 value, that is the range for sample 2, that is 0.05. It also lies between LCL and UCL value. Then same way R3, that is 0.06, R4, that is 0.04, and R5 is equal to 0.05. These all other values also lies between LCL and UCL. It means that all the R values, all the range values for all 5 samples lies between LCL and UCL. It means that from the R chart also, we can say that the process is under control. After such calculation, we need to plot all the points with reference to R bar line, UCL line and LCL line. And we need to check whether any range point is going outside or above the UCL or below the LCL. In such case, if any point, if any range point is moving above the UCL or the LCL or below the LCL, then that process can be considered as uncontrolled process and some corrective actions or steps are to be taken. So likewise, we can prepare the R chart also. Now, over here till now, we have made 2 different charts, X bar chart and R chart. Now, from both of these charts, the conclusion can be made whether the process is under control or the process is not under control, and some corrective actions are required. So now the question comes to that, which graph or which chart will be effective for us? By using which chart we should come to the conclusion whether the process is under control or it is not under control. So for that, the suggestion is that we should use both of the charts. We have to prepare both of the charts, and by looking at the combination, by looking at the result of both of the charts, mean as well as range chart, it means X bar chart and range chart, that is R chart, we need to decide whether the process is under control or it is not under control, and some corrective steps are to be taken. Why it happens? Sometimes such as we are considering right now two different cases, case A and case B. Sometimes for case A, let us assume the case A. We are preparing the X bar chart over here for case A, where we are finding that the data points, one of the data point or one of the sample mean is moving above the LCL. It means by looking at the X bar chart, we can say that the process is not under control. Some corrective actions are required. But if you are not preparing the X bar chart for the case A, and instead of that, if you are preparing the R chart, that is showing you all the data points are within the limit, are within the LCL and UCL. It means that it gives you the conclusion. You can come to the conclusion by reading the R chart or by preparing the R chart for case A that the process is under control. It means that both of the charts are giving you suggestion in opposite manner. So this will be the tragedy for us. So for that purpose, we should not focus on only one chart. Instead of focusing on only one chart, we should prepare both of the charts. And we need to decide if both of the charts gives us the suggestion that the process is under control, then and then only we can understand or we can conclude finally that the process is under control. Okay, now let us talk about the case B. When we talk about the case B, if we prepare the X bar chart, all the data points are within the limit of LCL and UCL. It means that this particular X bar chart gives us the data that or gives us the justification for the process is under control. But if you will only refer the R chart of it, you will find that for the sample number 4, the data point has crossed the UCL limit. So our chart suggests us the process is not under control in case B. Okay, so same way as the previous case, both of the charts X bar and R chart are showing you or are suggesting you the opposite results. It means that if you are going through only one of the chart out of these two, then you will not be able to make the correct decision. Okay, so that whenever we are following or whenever we are going to make the decision whether the process is under control or it is not under control, at that time X bar chart as well as R chart both must be prepared, and by looking at both of the graphs, the decision should be made whether the process is under control or it is not under control and some corrective actions are required. Thank you.